Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. A few days ago, I published a video that uses Absolutno to trade Bitcoin using futures perpetual, offering between a 0.5 to 0.6% per day using leverage. And I got a lot of questions, particularly because this bot is designed to run even in the bear market. This is a set and forget bot. It adapts to different conditions, different levels of volatility, placing safety orders much more distant from the initial entry to make sure that even during the toughest capitulation of the bear market, you exit. But what is the point of having a bot like this, running it with leverage and still getting liquidated because you didn't give enough collateral to the bot, because you didn't understand how collateral works? In this video, we're going to put a magnifier glass on this particular setup that happened during the worst capitulation in the bear market, and we can see that the bot survived. It placed the safety orders magically at the very right moments, and then it exit in profit in just about 1 month while that capitulation was taking place. We are going to look into this custom spreadsheet that I have created to simulate with different levels of leverage. In this case, I'm going to show you 1, 3, 5, 10, and 25x, and we're going to cover how much margin is needed for each of the orders and at what levels you will get liquidated. And I'm going to leave out of the video everything to do with the funding fees, even though the bot remains for many days with the orders open during that capitulation event. That is something that we can leave for another video. Make sure that you fully understand that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not the ultimate expert in futures. I'm just sharing with you what I do know. Of course, there will be things I don't know. Let me know in the comments if I miscalculate something. I might do a follow-up video trying to correct it. Do not use this information or any of these numbers in this video to fund your bot. Step 1, you need to understand how to use collateral. You need to conquer and master that topic, because once you get liquidated, you cannot blame anybody else apart from yourself. Alright, so let's first have a look at what happened during May of 2021. What were the orders taking place and what was the drawdown and how many days were they open. So we can see that in 2021 on May 4, we entered with the base order, and this base order went down around 48%. The first safety order opened on 14th of May, and that had a drawdown of 41%. Second safety order around 33%, and the last safety order during the capitulation between 17 and 18%. This whole event took from the first base order until the end around roughly 41 days. And the last safety order took 25 days to fully close. All of those points are highlighted around here. In terms of how much the bot is using to trade, thanks to the leverage, let's go to the settings. You can see that it starts with a base order of 1,000. The first safety order is 5,000, and there's a volume scale of 2, which means that this 5,000 doubles to 10,000 and then 20,000. Those are the numbers that we're seeing here on the left. I wrote down the days open around here, but they're not being used in this calculation. I'm assuming that you're gonna trade either on spot or 1x if you're still on futures. Therefore, in this column here, I'm assuming that you're trading with 36,000 in the account. If you were doing leverage, thanks to the leverage, you will still reach the 36,000 trading, but you will do that using 3x. Therefore, you use 12,000 of margin. This amount is prior to leverage, and all these amounts here are post the leverage, either thanks to the 1x or thanks to the 25x. In this column here, the column D is the most important, because this is telling us how much drawdown we have from each of the orders. Because the first order was 48% down, and the first order was an order of $1,000. This order was down $480 in the worst moment of the capitulation. The largest order, which is the order for 20,000, had a drawdown of only 18%, which is relative to the rest of the orders, is the one that had the least drawdown in percentage, but at the same time it was the largest in dollar value. So an 18% down from 20,000, that gives you 3,600 down. So here it comes the magic. Here is where we're going to calculate the total drawdown of each of the positions thanks to the leverage. So regardless of which leverage you pick, 1 to 25, you will achieve trading with 36,000. Therefore, at that moment where you are reaching the bottom, your full position will be down $9,470. If you're doing spot or you're doing 1x, from the 36,000, you will be 9,470 down. And because you're doing spot, you're not risking liquidation. And even if you're doing 1x on futures, you wouldn't be risking liquidation as long as the 36,000 are still there in the account all the times. And of course, assuming that the position closes in a sensible amount of time. If it takes 3 years to close, of course, you're going to get eaten by the funding fees. So now let's get more interesting. If we do 3x, then I'm gonna show you these calculations here. What I'm doing is I'm dividing the amount that I get thanks to the leverage, which is 1,000, by the 3x. So I know how much margin I'm using to achieve that 1,000. In this case, I'm using $333 and I'm achieving a position of 1,000 because I'm using 3x. And that's just simply dividing the two amounts. The same goes for each of these columns until I get to the last one, and that's giving me a total of 12,000 in margin needed to trade 36,000 thanks to the 3x. Let's assume you're giving 12,000 to the bot. If this bot goes down 9,470, that 12,000 that you used to open those positions as a margin will still, in theory, tolerate the drawdown of 9,470 because this drawdown is not greater than the amount that you have given in margin to the bot. In other words, from the 12,000 in margin, you might not need to have any additional collateral. This bot in this period in spot made 50% profit. So that's the amount that I put in the column E, right below trading with spot. But for 3x, I'm going to assume that since you have to open these positions with this margin and then you apply 3x, you will need $12,000 to be able to open all these positions. And by the way, never trade precise numbers because there's always hidden fees and hidden stuff. And the last thing that you want to happen is that suddenly you realize that by a few dollars, you were not able to open the last safety order and therefore not able to exit the deal anyways. Also, a good idea is to test that you can open in the exchange this size of orders prior to starting the bot. So go to your exchange, use a 3x and open all these orders. And I know you will have to pay some fees, but at least you will have a bit more certainty that once you need to open the last safety order, you won't get a message from your exchange saying, sorry, that is above the amount of contract that you can hold from this coin. We were not able to open this position and you are left just holding a red bag with the top two positions. That's a good point because it has happened to me once. It was pretty annoying. This number here is the difference between the margin and the drawdown, telling us that there is 2,530 still left in the account of margin at the moment we touch the bottom if we were running with 12,000. Now, since we are running with 12,000 and we do a 50% profit with spot, then in practice, we are making 150% over this 12,000 because we made 50% from the 36,000. That means that the spot bot made 18,000. So in here with 12,000, you are making 18,000 too. That means a profit of 150%. Now let's move on quickly to the 5x, 10x, and 25x. The only difference is that in here I'm dividing by 5 and I'm getting slightly smaller margin needed to open those positions. In 10x, obviously is half, and then in 25x is the smallest margin needed to open the positions. Now, when you open these positions and the price hasn't moved, yes, you can survive, but once you have the big drawdown, then this 1440 is definitely not sufficient. So how much extra are we needing in the 25x to survive this drawdown of 9,470? That's a very simple calculation. We just do the difference between 4040 and 9470. That is telling us that we need an additional of $8,000, because in practice what we need is that amount, 9470. Your 36,000 position is down this amount, so there's no way around it. You need 10k at that moment, regardless of how much leverage you're applying. So regardless of each of these leverage that you're using, you always need 9,500, because that is the drawdown that you're experiencing. So at that point in the market, during the capitulation, with 5x, 10x, and 25x, you at least need that amount. That limits the amount of profits that you can make, and it dumps it down to 190. Notice that now we are using the 9,500 as collateral and not just the nominal value of margin needed to open the positions. Of course, if we were using just 1440 instead of 9470, that will give us an enormous amount of profit, like thousands of %. But since we need that extra amount of collateral for that particular day, that drops the results to only 190%. Here is the elephant in the room. If you're using 25x, you're still making 190 because you still need in your account almost 10k to tolerate the dump, similar to 5x. Why would you go for 25x then? What is the full point of that? And the short answer to that is, at this point in the market, you needed almost 10k to tolerate this particular deal. This bot made 90 deals, and I'm gonna tell you one thing, only 3 of those 90 deals in here, which is this capitulation in 2021, then twice in May and in June of 2022, and then the FTX capitulation after that, no other pullback ever needed such a large amount of collateral. In fact, most of them probably will need 2 to 3k worst case scenario, and only in these 3 occasions that grows massively. And that tells you one thing: most of the time that collateral is not going to be used. It's going to just stay there in your account as a safety net. So what can you do with that collateral? Oh, you can do lots of things. You can design other bots that by definition, they never use such a large amount of collateral in similar circumstances. For example, you wouldn't want to be running this bot in the same account with the same settings, just with 3 different tokens, because you know in the capitulation, all of them need the same collateral at the same time. That will mean that you need 30,000 in collateral, 10k for each of the bots. But if you design one that is doing shorts, that is trading completely at a different time and needing a lot of collateral, actually when things are pumping or when the uptrend is very strong, and as soon as there is a dump, it stops needing that collateral, then you can push these numbers again much larger. It's all about designing how the different bots are going to be using the collateral. And if you can design something as advanced as that and do all the planning, then it makes a lot of sense to have a 25x, because that 25x is literally going to leave your account almost unused almost all the time. But if you're thinking that that's the only bot that you're going to be running in that account, I don't think there's much point on pushing the leverage so high to 25x, because it doesn't need to coexist with other bots. You don't need that efficiency. Then you can drop the leverage. Remember that the higher the leverage, also you pay higher fees. My ultimate recommendation is, if you do not understand how this works, then be as conservative as possible. You can also use the rule of learn by mistake, which means that you can have a sub account with $100 and get it liquidated a few times until you fully understand how things were working, and start bumping as you feel more confident with the numbers you're using. This bot on 3 commas on 1x is using 36,000. If I put it to 25x, it says 1440 after this video. I hope you understand that if your account only has 1440, it will probably last a few days in the account before getting fully liquidated. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this is giving you some new insights on how to do your analysis of liquidation for DCA bots. If this was helpful, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to the channel, enable notification bell, and the best thing that you can do for the channel is leave a comment down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.